Is it?
Yep. All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Monday afternoon. Special edition of Knicks Weekly, episode 58 and part 1. And on today's show, the Melo era is over. Carmelo Anthony announcing his retirement from the NBA. So we're going to talk about it, man. We're going to talk about his legacy, his time with the Knicks, and should his jersey be retired? Something I want to hear from our panel and from our Knicks fans that call in. So call us up, man, 657-383-1509, or hit us up on the KnicksFanTV Discord. CP The Fanchise here, Alex Retires, the Stratocaster, and special guest with us. He is the CEO of Hard to Guard Media. Spent a long time working with the New York Knicks, man, from 93 straight through the Melo era. And so we're going to hear from him today, man. My guy, Edgar Burgos, is in the building. So to everybody in the chat, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. And let's get into it. Salute to the mods. Salute to everybody in the chat. All our friends across the pond. Good to be back on. And good to have something to talk about. It is the off season. But this morning, we had some breaking news. And that was the retirement of one Carmelo Anthony. 19 years in the league. And a star-studded resume, man. 9th all-time on the scoring list. 6-time All-NBA. 1-time scoring champion. 10-time All-Star. All-rookie team 03-04. 3-time Olympian. And most recently, man, the NBA 75th anniversary team. A member of the NBA's top 75 of all time. Put some respect on his name, man. Carmelo Anthony hanging it up. And, Al, when I reflect back on the Melo time, man, outside of Patrick Ewing, there's Penny Hardaway and Melo. 3 favorite players of all time. And I saw this journey from when I remember looking at the slams. He was coming out in Oak Hill. They were profiling Melo in the slams. And then I went to the All-American game. I went to the dunk contest. This was the day before I was leaving for college because we all came up we're all the same age. And I remember seeing him in the dunk contest, Amari, they had like J.J. Redick, 3-point contest. This was all like Christ the King over there in Queens. Mm-hmm. And from there, watching this guy play at Syracuse, run through the tournament in the way that he did, I said, bro, there's no doubt this dude is going to be a star. Because he was like NBA ready at that point. Dominating the tournament. I was like, Cuse is winning. He's going to be a superstar in the league. And that's what he was, man. That's exactly what he was. And look, when he came to the Knicks, we'll get a chance to talk about the trade, but that was one of those days. Is one of my favorite plays, man. I remember exactly where I was. I remember the build up to it. I said, get the deal done by any means necessary. And, didn't work out the way we wanted it to.
No, it didn't.
But that's how I reflect on Melo's career, man. Outstanding career. Nevertheless, an outstanding career.
100%. Outstanding career. Got to give him his flowers. I remember being in college, and we got Amari that year. There was 2 big moments from that year for me. It was one where Amari almost hit that game winner against the Celtics, and then 2 for me was when we got the notification that Melo was coming to New York, and I was so hyped, man. I was so hyped to watch him in the opening day, not opening day, but like his first game against the Bucks. We win. He drops 27 points. You have the coming home anthem. I was hyped, man. I loved everything about him. Melo, it was dark, man. And like we were just talking behind the state, like backstage, just, I was young. I couldn't really enjoy the 94 team, but I do remember the 99 team. I was a 5th grader. And after that, you have to go through the Stephon Marbury years. You watch David Lee, you watch Jamal Crawford. You know how the struggle is. It was a dark time. We all know how dark those times were. If you want to talk about light and seeing like the revitalization of a team, Carmelo Anthony did just that when he came back. And for that, man, you got to give him respect. He never dodged the smoke. This guy did everything you asked him for. Even when you hear Amon Shumpert talk about him and talk about the leadership that we don't always see, and the criticism. Oh, is he a leader? What, could he do this? Pass the rock, X, Y, and Z. All those things about Carmelo. He did a lot for this team, man. I wish the team did a lot more for him to give him some a winning product. But you got to give respect to what Melo did for the New York Knicks, man. Legend right there.
True indeed, man. Edgar, how about you, man? How do you remember Melo's career?
Man, I remember when his first day at the Garden. I remember I got the phone call when the trade went through, and he flew in from Denver. It was right after All-Star, and I think I was probably the first person to actually meet him at the Garden. He came in early. I took him and Asani to the locker room. I walked him around. They came early. He was excited. He was like, I remember, there's nobody in the building. It's just me, him, Asani, and Bay. And he's just looking around. He's like, yo, I can't believe, this even happened, And I was like, I remember, I was excited. I was like, man, we might win a chip. and, we started talking. We got to know each other a little bit. And then that night, I'm coming home. The theme song, The Garden, was rocking. It gave me goosebumps. I remember I was like, he came out through the middle of the court, and and then he showed out with 27 points, and we beat the Bucks. And the guy, like Alex said, he didn't dodge any bullets at all. He took all hits. He wanted to come here. He wanted to smoke. He wanted to win, and obviously it ended bad with, Phil Jackson. But overall, it was a pretty good career with the Knicks.
Yeah, I agree, man, and so much respect around the league from guys who played against him, man. Paul Pierce continues to say to this day that was the one guy he did not want to guard. As great as Paul Pierce was, he said, Melo, you did not want to guard Melo because his bag was just so impressive, man. At his size, he could play physical. His footwork was impeccable. He had, back in it when he was younger, he had speed. He had the athleticism. He could dunk on you. And then he was a bucket at all three levels, man. So, like, you couldn't guard him. You could not guard him because his range, his bag was just unlimited, man. It was so impressive. Straight through to the end, probably one of the best scores. The best score I ever seen, hands down. Best score I ever seen, bro.
CP, the amount of talent that he brought into the league, you talked about how he was NBA ready. You saw it in Syracuse. Nuggets won 17 games before he was drafted. That year, they won 43 games. As soon as Melo joined the team. All right? That should give you an indication of how talented that guy is. And the scoring power, man. I think even LeBron talked about that as like one of the most deceiving guys. You look at strength. And he was a good rebounder too. Like Melo actually has some good passing chops. Like Melo doesn't get a lot of credit. For the other parts of his game, we know him as a scorer, but I was just looking through highlights. Some of the passes that he made, especially during that 2012-2013 season, his strong rebounding. Melo was just a talent, man. Absolute talent.
I would also say even the year when they lost in the second round was it
2012, 2013.
Yeah, I mean under Mike Woodson. He actually played defense that year. He hustled that year. And that was like right before, D'Antoni, I don't think he was a big fan of D'Antoni. I mean, from looking on the outside.
Yeah.
But Mike Woodson made, I remember, being in the locker room, Mike Woodson had the respect of all the players, and especially Melo. And you can tell from that first day when Woodson took over compared to Mike D'Antoni, who controlled the locker room, and he played hard, man. You never really saw him. He was diving all over the place sometimes. He was making hustle plays. You didn't see that under any other coach.
Yeah, Woodson, to the guys we spoke to, man, especially Ray Fell, they all speak of Kenyon Martin. They all spoke highly of Woodson and the respect that he had from that locker room. Rasheed Wallace, same way. They all spoke very highly of Mike Woodson, and yeah, it's no surprise that Melo finished third in MVP voting that year. He was that good. And look, we could talk about the lackluster teams that he played on. It wasn't a lot of winning in those days, certainly wasn't. But that Knicks State team, 2012, 2013, man, they finally put the right pieces around him. Raphael came back. Jason Kidd came back, so we had two competent point guards, plus Jason Kidd was an extension of the coach on the court. Pablo was another guy, another great veteran that you had off the bench. He was feisty, he was tenacious, could knock down the three. The whole team was a prolific three-point shooting team. I think they were number one in the NBA that year between Novak, JR, Rasheed Wallace. You had, Shumpert, Melo, all those guys, man. And that team, too bad it couldn't keep it together, man. Edgar, what was your thoughts when they put that team together and you saw how they were able to put it together that year? I think 52 wins.
Yeah, I saw Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd was a tremendous leader. Rasheed Wallace, big in the locker room, even though he didn't play much, but his vocal leadership was amazing. I would have loved to see them. Obviously game one when they lost to the Pacers, that hurt us.
Yeah.
The JR game, I like to call it the JR game.
Yeah.
We win that game. We play Miami in the third round. We could have beat Miami.
Yeah.
I think that season we beat them 3 out of 4.
3 out of 4.
Yes, we did.
I was at opening night. Carter was on tilt, man.
To this day, you could not tell me different that we had their number.
Yeah.
You can't tell me different.
And the Knicks were confident. They felt like, I remember that season. They all felt like they could have went to the chip that season. And game one, it's one of those games that go down in Knicks history that you're like, oh man, if we had that one.
Wish you got it back, man.
Yeah. And then the following season, we made that terrible trade for Bargnani, and it just disrupted everything.
That was insane, man.
Nice guy though. Bargnani was a very nice guy.
What was Bargnani like around that? What was he like around that locker room, man? What was Bargnani like?
He was
man?
quiet. He was quiet, but he was cool. He was funny. Like he was like, but he was mellow. Like
guy looked like he was scared of his own shadow, man. What was going on with that guy, man?
I remember having a conversation when we made that trade, and I was just like, and I was talking to my guys in Toronto, and they were like, he's a nice guy. That's all they
That's it. He's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy. And you knew once they said that, they were like pretty much, we're happy he's not here.
Woof. Insane, man. Al, you had something on that?
No, just I don't want to hear any more about Andre Bargnani.
Yeah, definitely one of the worst trades in Knicks history, man. But looking back on that Melo trade, it was a tough trade at first, right? Because we tried to go the big three route. We tried to rebuild this thing. Donnie Walsh tried to untie all of Isaiah's knots and try to get those 2 max contracts. Obviously, LeBron was the target. Wade secondary. We got jilted. It is what it is. But then they bring in Amari. And I'm like, okay, no insurance on the knees. It's a gamble. But we've been losing for so many years, man. Just do something. That's where I was at. I'm like, yo, just do something. Amari don't got the insurance on the knees. It's probably going to end up bad, but I'm on board for now. And then that team really started coming together. They signed Raphael. They had Chandler. They had Gallinari. That team was really clicking. Amari was playing at an all-star level. Him and Raphael, 1-2 game was impeccable on the D'Antoni system. They had some complementary pieces, the Sean Williams of the world and so on and so forth. Amari ripped off like 9 straight 30-point games, and they were clicking, but then Melo becomes available. And I'm like, man, you were going to gut the team, but we got to do it. Like, that trade, when the trade was made, there was so much hype around him and Amari being the greatest front court of all time on paper. And for me, I was just like, yo, man, if Mozgov is a sticking point, just go for it. I like Mozgov. He started playing well, but I was like, yo, we can't risk Melo going to the Nets, man. Just do it. And that's how I felt, man. It didn't work out that way. We didn't get the depth. We didn't have the depth that we needed. But I would have done the trade over again if I had to.
You start to wonder, like, one thing about Melo, if he would have waited to the end of the season, I mean, the Knicks would have been stacked.
Yeah.
They had the cap space that year. They had the cap space, and I wish he would have waited. But I get why why Dolan made the move. He had to make the move, and I get it. But a lot of things happened. Like Amari when he broke his hand, or like punching his hand in the glass.
Yeah.
Like that was the first year of the playoffs.
Right.
In the second year, they go to the second round, but they had to go through situations.
Oh,
Man,
real.
that
Al,
trade-
how do you reflect on that trade, man?
It was tough. I mean, here's the trade just so that everyone can have a refresher on it. The Nuggets received Danilo Gallinari, Wilson Chandler, Raymond Felton, Timothy Mozgov, the 2014 pick 12, which turned out to be Dario Saric, 2016 pick swap, which turned out to be Jamal Murray, 2012 pick, which was number 38, which was Quincy Miller, 2013 pick 51, Romero Osby, and the Knicks received Carmelo Anthony, Chauncey Billups, Sheldon Williams, Anthony Carter, Ronaldo Balkman. I mean, you knew after that type of trade, it was like, all right, how are we going to build this team to make it sustainable?
Yeah.
But at that point, you just had to believe that if you got someone like Melo, top 5 talent in the league at that time, that anything could be okay. Like you could possibly have that moment if you could build through free agency, as we did through 2012, 2013, right? I don't even look at that trade as being the one that did it. It's really the Bargnani trade that really messed everything up. Because when you did that trade, then you really put yourself in a position where it's like, okay, kid's gonna leave. You're not gonna have Sheed. Who do we have after this to come help Melo? And then as we saw, like we had to buy ourselves into either Courtney Lee, Aaron Aflalo, Derrick Rose, first stint, Robin Lopez. Like you're really trying to figure things out. But that trade, I'd still do it again just because it's not often that you get someone of Melo's caliber available. But as Edgar said, if he came through during free agency and you had those guys still, it's a different team. Totally different team.
And also the fact that the year that we didn't make the playoffs, they won 37 games, and the reason they didn't make the playoffs is because Tyson Chandler was hurt. That he broke his hand that year.
Right.
I think it was his hand, and then he missed so many games. We missed the playoffs by 1 game. I still remember that. I'm like, we would have made the playoffs. Then they fired Mike Woodson, which to this day I've always said they should have never fired Mike Woodson. Then it was downhill for the next couple of years after that.
Absolutely insane, man. I like Chauncey too because that 04 Pistons team, I had a lot of respect for that team. I always thought they were going to beat the Lakers when they did. So I thought, Chauncey coming in, we would have done some good things. And I remember when that trade happened and they went into Miami for the first time and they won. I don't know if you guys remember that game. Edgar, did you travel with the team when you were working with them? Or was
Sometimes.
Okay. I remember that game when they went into Miami. It was Melo, Chauncey, and Amari, and they went in there and beat that team, beat LeBron and them. It was a big game. It was a star-studded game. And I thought, okay, we have some promise here. And then Chauncey gets hurt in the playoffs, before the playoffs, I think it was a thigh injury or something like that. Couldn't recover from there. And then they used the amnesty on him. And look, a lot of fans always say revisionist history. Well, they should have done it on Amari, but I didn't see the Knicks, reversing course on Amari's contract that fast. I just didn't see it, even though they should have, because you knew it was never going to get better. I just didn't see them doing that and righting their wrongs there. But that turned out to be one of the big mistakes, in addition to the Bargnani trade, man.
Yeah, that Bargnani trade. Like Alex said, that Bargnani trade. Oh, I would shake my head. I'm just like, why do we made this move?
What was Glenn Grunwald thinking, man? Masai Ujiri probably hung up that phone that day and went out to dinner and popped bottles, man. He's probably like, I can't believe we fleeced these guys like this. Yeah. Unbelievable, man. But they were looking for the Roy Hibbert equalizer. They were looking for that stretch 5 because that was one thing when we lost that series to the Pacers, man, how dominant Roy Hibbert was over Tyson Chandler. That was the thing that hurt so bad because Tyson, he was on a Defensive Player of the Year track. He was so instrumental for us. Remember the tip outs or the offensive rebounds he would always get? And Hibbert just went in on him in that series. And so now Grunwald is looking like, okay, we need a stretch 5, pull Hibbert away from the basket, knock down some threes, and they trade a first-round pick, among other things, for Andrea Bargnani, man.
I think Hibbert just had a great series. That was it. I think overall, I would take Tyson over, Bargnani any day of the week.
Yeah.
It's just, he's a player, NBA player. You can have a great series. And I think he just had a great series.
I mean, how much more years did he do in the league before he flamed out?
Yeah, 2, 3,
tops.
Man was doing podcasts afterwards.
Oh my Lord. Had Roy Hibbert looking like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar out there, man. It was absolutely embarrassing. So, that was certainly unfortunate that they could never really, put a competent team or complimentary team is what I meant to say around him until that Knicks team year. I mean, you had your Bill Walkers of the world, Tony Douglas. I thought Aflalo would have worked here. But he wasn't that good. I also thought D Rose's first tour with Courtney Lee, they drafted Porzingis. I thought that team had a little bit of potential.
On paper, that team had so much potential on paper.
It was still young.
Yeah.
And I think Derek Fisher, me personally, I think Derek Fisher was actually a good coach. But Phil didn't let him coach. That was me watching.
Because he had to run the triangle.
He was forced to run a triangle. I don't think he wanted to run a triangle. I think he wanted to run his own offense.
Yeah. What was that whole situation like when Phil was there? When you were there, man? What was that dynamic like?
Phil set us back 10 years. But at that time you can't. I understand fans blame him. People want to blame Dolan, but I think Dolan did what the fans wanted at the time.
Yeah.
So, I'm just like. I just think, Phil made a lot of wrong decisions. And I think he, at the end of the day, I think he was in it for $60 million.
In it for the bag.
Yeah.
He was in it for the bag, man.
Mad at it, but you wish he would have made some decisions. And then he made, Melo's life hell.
And that was so weird, man.
That was weird. That was so weird.
Man. I couldn't understand, the whole Charlie Rosen thing, taking shots at Melo in the newspaper through a third party, and then trying to trade him.
Yeah.
It's like
totally disrespected Melo.
Yeah.
I mean,
he did.
Melo was, like he said, he didn't dodge anything. Like he faced everything head on. And that's one thing, you respected about him. Like after games, after tough losses, he spoke to the media. He did what he had to do. And he, that's why, I appreciate him. Like, he took, he didn't take anything to heart. Like, you knew he cared. Which, obviously, you knew he wanted to win. But he didn't take things personal. He knew it was a business. He knows this is a business.
Yeah, that was one thing, man. Because I was talking to Mark Berman in the New York Post about that too when I was asking him who was his favorite player to cover during his 20-year tenure with the Knicks, and Melo was right up there with him. He said, Melo always stood tall with the media, was always there, win or lose, never ran from it, never ran out the back door, was not available, the team not making him available like they do for certain other players. He said, look, Melo, he was there. He was there. And had a good relationship with the media. So that's one thing I give him a lot of credit for because, as you know, and we've seen it time and time again in guys who have flamed out here, it's not an easy place to play, man. This is not an easy place to play. And he took it. He took it. What was that?
New York is tough.
It's tough. It's tough. Heaviest jersey in the league to wear, man. And he took that number 7 and came to work every day.
The scrutiny that he got every single day, and it just trickled down to the fans too, man. I mean, I was just touching on it earlier. It's like, oh, he doesn't play defense. He doesn't do, he doesn't share the rock enough. He's not away. Like he got bashed by his own fan base to the hill, and it was like we're really bashing a guy that chose to be here and trying to help this team win. And then at the same time, like when I would hear those comments, I'm like, do you see who he's playing with? Like you want him to pass the rock to Langston Galloway. Like, no shade to Langston Galloway, friend of the program. But it's like, come on, man. Like, he's going to take the last shot. Like, who am I going to trust, though?
When they got it to Jared Jeffries, you saw what happened, man. Absolute disaster. So, listen, man.
Gary was my guy.
Hey, nice guy, like you said, nice guy, but boy, oh boy. Oh, man.
I hope he's enjoying that new car.
Man, oh man, yeah, right. The guy puts the cardiac in cardiac Knicks, man. Let me hit the reset button real quick. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Knicks Weekly episode 58. We are talking about Carmelo Anthony's retirement, man. 19 years in the league. Melo is officially hanging it up. And we're just reflecting on his tenure with the Knicks, man. If you guys want to call us up, 657-383-1509. It's the number to call, or you can hit us up on the Knicks Fan TV Discord. CP The Fanchise, Alex Retaros, Edgar Burgos in the building. Part 1 of Knicks Weekly will be back on tonight at around 10 p.m. to dish on some more of the Knicks' latest news and rumors around the league. We'll talk about NBA playoffs as well, so make sure you guys tap into that. Also, remember that this show is presented by KnicksFanTV.com. Go to KnicksFanTV.com for all of the latest write-ups from our great scribes. And also go to Manscaped.com. Use promo code KFTV for 20% off plus free shipping. Okay. Edgar, were you there for the 62-point game?
Yes, I was there.
What was that night like, man?
Man, I remember. There's so much stuff I remember that day. I have a nice autograph, sheet from that day that he signed for me. Just the energy. I remember the Garden. I remember when he hit 50. And I was like, well, it's third quarter. I was like, I wonder if he could drop like 60. This is kind of crazy. And then every time the Garden, every time he scored, just got louder and louder and louder. And then I remember that 60-second, that jumper when he made it the 60-second point. And I was like, man, I just remember in the locker room, man, the energy of the team, man. Everybody was so happy for him. I think I posted a picture on my stories of the 62, and then it's just it was great to see. That's I remember. It was great to see. It was so many different moments. Obviously he had that the jumper. I mean, it's Melo, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just always mellow and happy. I've never seen Melo upset. That's one thing about him. Like I've never seen him upset. And I remember that the question is, do you retire his number?
Yeah, that is definitely the question that I want to ask. I want to save that for the last segment of the show. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Jose Morales in the chat says I was at that game. He could have went for more. Al, you know what my fondest memory of that game was?
What?
I missed the game.
Wow.
I missed the game.
Wow.
I usually don't miss Knick games.
Wow.
I usually don't miss Knick games, man. I usually
The
catch
conductor
everyone.
missed a game.
I missed the game. I can tell you about games when Marbury was running pick and rolls with Michael Doliak. I missed the game, bro. Why? Because they were playing the Bobcats. I had some work thing going on. Some work people's like, oh, we want to go out for drinks, whatever, happy hour. So you know what? They're playing the Bobcats. It's a bum night. I could take a night off. Went to a terrible Chinese food dinner in the village. I'm checking my phone every second. What's up, Melo? 40, 50. I'm like, yo, what is going on? Going ballistic. I missed the whole game, man. What was your thoughts of that game?
Oh man, I loved it. That was I think that was like January that game was. So like the Knicks were still in it to like they were still in contention to like make the playoffs. And it was like I just remember watching that with my pops, and I was just it just felt different by the second quarter. I was like, Melo's not missing anything. I was like, anything he's putting up. He put up a half court heave, and it dropped. I was like, oh, we're getting that type of performance. The one thing I hate about that game is that Melo was pulled out with like 7 minutes left in the game, and I was like, why? I was like, this is too early for a historic performance. He could have easily had 70 points. And the reason why I didn't want him to be pulled out is because you start seeing like Steph Curry around that time. Like Steph's putting up 50, close to 60. And you're like, 62 is not enough. It's not enough to stick around, man. You need 70 points to like really make it a challenge for anyone to come through. There was a night that James Harden almost broke that record. I was like, for the love of God, don't break that record. You need that record to stay at Madison Square Garden. So that's the one gripe I have with Woodson that year. It's like, yo, you should have just left Melo in, let him get 70, then you could have taken him out.
It was a blowout, though.
I get that.
Yeah.
It was 125-96, but for a historic night, man, I want to see 70 points. It's not often you get to see 70 points from one of the top players in the league.
Unreal, man. So, on the retirement question, I'll send it back to you, man. Should he have his number retired? It was great to see him in the playoffs, man. When,
Yes.
when I went to when I was at the Garden for Game 3 of the Game 3. Game 3 was the first home game against the Cavs, man, and like all the greats were there. It was Starks and like Gerald Wilkins, all these guys, Spreewell, and all these guys were in the building. I'm like, this is dope, but we need Melo in here, man. Where's Melo? We need Patrick. We need Melo. The next game they were there. Separate nights. So, but it was good to see Melo there. Melo was there Game 4, I believe. That was when Brunson goes crazy. You see Melo and his son in the front row. He's going ballistic, man. But he got a lot of love from the crowd that night, man. It was definitely good to see Melo there. But should they retire that number, man? Is that the next step?
Whew. I think they should. I think they should retire that number. Just because for what he did for the franchise, for how dark it was during those years, I think you got to respect that. I know he didn't make it. He didn't have the deep playoff runs that we saw in the 90s, but I also got to look at what they gave him afterwards. And still, the All-Stars, the recognition, consistently representing New York for those All-Star games, being a top scorer for the team, Olympian, was he got 2-3 gold medals, as you said. Like, you gotta put some respect on that for what he's done. I know the question after that is, well, we didn't do that for Bernard King, and maybe even John Starks. He asked that question. Mm-hmm. Maybe do you do a little bit of revisionist history and go give those guys those honors, so you don't make it. If you want to, make it a little bit more of an even playing field for some historical Knicks that haven't been recognized. But I think his number should be hung in the rafters.
Edgar, how about you, man?
I was talking to some friends and we were torn. I say yes and no. Part of me is thinking about how the Yankees do it sometimes. Like, Tino Martinez, his number's not retired, but you honored him.
Yeah.
You put a plaque up. And I think that's one of the things that the Knicks should do with some players, like, like John Starks. They should have like a section in the Garden.
I like that.
Some of these great players. The only reason I would say no is because he didn't play long enough for the Knicks. That's the only, 7 seasons, but, out of those 7, 3.5 were okay. He made it to the second round. But if they do retire the number, I'm not mad at it. I understand. So I'm kind of like torn.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would love to see it retired. I would definitely love to see it. I think based on their standards of what they've done in the past, I don't think they will. I don't necessarily think they will. But you are right. They should have, some sort of acknowledgement for some of the greater players, or for the guys who, were great players, but not necessarily iconic. Well, it's hard to say, man, because he's still one of the best Knicks of all time, just from a pure talent and production standpoint. But the team concept, it kills him. He went 196 and 216 with the team. Losing record with the team, 7-14 in the playoffs. I mean, those are some bad teams. It's tough. I don't know if he gets there. There wasn't enough winning.
And like you said, Alex said, if you didn't retire Bernard King's number, it's hard to, say, let's retire Melo's number.
Yeah.
Bernard King, for those couple of years, he dominated the NBA.
Dominated.
Yeah.
Dominated. But, Bernard is kind of the same thing. It's not enough. Not enough seasons. He wasn't healthy enough. And those teams weren't good either. Those. I mean, he had some. He had how many
playoff run?
Yeah, right.
Against the Celtics,
against the Pistons, right?
Yeah, Pistons. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, just not enough. So I don't know. I hope they do. I hope they retire number 7. But
I hope like the Garden creates like some type of a wall for some of the greatest
Yeah.
players. Let's put a plaque up and
Yeah.
honor them that way. So then nobody could be upset. You like at the same time
Yeah.
you still honor them. You still, jersey ceremony. I think I've always said should go to champions.
Yeah.
Champions or somebody who got you to the finals multiple times.
Right. Right. Yeah, true indeed, man. Let's hear what the people got to say. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Let's go to the Discord. Benny G on the Discord. Benny, are you with us?
Hey, guys. How's it going? CP, Alex, Edgar, salute. How you guys doing?
Salute, man. Where are you checking in from?
Checking in from Hartford, Connecticut, actually.
Nice. Okay.
Nice. Just had to drop in. First time caller, long time listener to the show. Shout out to you guys. Just got to give Carmelo his flowers. Became a Knicks fan around that time that Carmelo was here putting in that work. Just like big moment games. He didn't always take us there to get that win, but that was just like, he was the guy taking those big shots, having those big moments. I remember the first time I went to a Knicks game against the Sixers. He put up the buzzer beater shot with 0.9 seconds left to go. The crowd just absolutely went crazy. People turning around, hugging, high-fiving each other. Melo talking his mess, like just a Knicks legend. I agree. I think it's iffy. We didn't get there to the promised land, but, he's a part of our culture, part of our lore. We definitely got to, put some respect on his name and find a spot for him in the Garden somewhere to have his little display. I totally agree. But shout out to you guys. Shout out to Melo. Keep on, keeping that legacy alive. Shout out to you guys.
Man. Salute. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Okay, to the phones we go. Let's go to YO914. What's your name? Where you calling in from?
Hey, what's up, man? This is calling from Yonkers. What's up to everybody? What's up, Edgar? What's up, Alex? I see you. What's up, CP?
Peace.
Hey, man, I'm a big fan of Melo, and I'm going to keep this short and spicy, right? I think his tenure as a Knick was influential, to say the least. He was a real dominant figure. He even, turned the culture of the Knicks fan base, to the next level as far as merchandise and things of that nature. But I feel there's this one thing, away from his playing ethic on the court, I feel like there was one thing that kind of turned me away from retiring his jersey number. And I feel like when he talks about the situation that he could have had in Miami with a big three, that's a great idea. I mean, that's awesome. He would have had a big three in Miami. But why couldn't you try to bring something like that to New York? Why couldn't you try to, maybe take a lesser deal to try to bring another star with you? I'd have loved to see that. I think that Melo had a great run. Aside from Miami at one year, we had the longest winning streak away from Miami at one point. So he really had a strong influence. But that's the only thing I think kind of tears me away, because John Starks and these guys, we never retired their jerseys, and these guys are loyal to the Knicks soil. They will never talk about any other team.
Yeah.
But okay. I love Melo and respect Melo, and I think he's a strong influence in the community. He's a great guy on and off the court, and I think he was undermanned. He didn't have as much help as he would like to have. I would have loved to see him with some more help. That's all.
All right, appreciate it, man. Yeah, definitely would have wanted some more help in here. But it starts with asking him why he couldn't have waited. It's hard, I'm sure
at that time, who else wanted to come here besides Melo and Amari?
Right.
You never heard nobody else talk about, I want to come to New York.
That's it. Your top two guys went to Miami. Top two guys. And Melo could have went to Miami if he would have structured his deal the same way that they did. Right? They did a 3-year deal. He did 5.
Yeah.
So, all this, definitely thankful he became a Knick, because he could have been a Miami Heat if he would have structured his rookie deal a little bit differently. But, yeah, they're just, after he came here and Amari started to flame out, the CP3 thing was a pipe dream. We couldn't afford it. And the next person, remember when Greg Monroe was the targeted, the high caliber free agent one time? It was Greg Monroe. Gracious. We might go get Greg Monroe.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Greg Monroe, man. And yeah, that was a complete abomination. But, that Knicks tape team was the closest it came. And they all came together. It was complementary pieces. They had young talent. They had 3-point shooters. They had the right vets. Excellent core of vets. Shot the 3 well. Played defense well. Just wasn't sustainable. A lot of those guys broke down. Like I said, she didn't make it too far. Kurt Thomas, remember when Kurt Thomas broke his foot in Utah, gutted it out, but he was cooked after that. Camby wasn't the same guy. And Kidd
got hurt.
Kid got hurt, and then he went from shooting threes to building a brick house. He was in this construction business by the time they got to the end of the season. So they just they didn't have much there. But, you know, JR was still sixth man of the year. Pablo was good off the bench. They had Novak until they started running Novak off the three-point line, and you realize he can't dribble. And then you realize you can't put the ball on the floor. You're like, oh, man, we're stuck. And so, yeah, man, that's just how it went. Landry Fields had a little bit of promise.
Little.
A little bit, right? Just a little bit.
Promising that Modell's commercial, sure.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, man. So, some interesting days, no doubt about it. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Let's take some more phone calls, couple more. We got 2 from 585. Let's start with 585-478. What's your name? Where you calling in from? Yep.
What's going on? Can y'all hear me?
Loud and clear. What's your name? Where you calling in from?
What's up?
My name is Ray. I'm calling in from Charlotte. How y'all doing today, man?
Good, man.
Hey, man, I had to call in, man. It's Destin, man. I called in about 3 or 4 times. It's my first time on, and I'm glad it's for Melo. I just want to say, man, shout out to Carmelo. Thank you for being a Knick, man. We really appreciate him. First of all, everybody hit some thumbs up for your boys. Let's get these lights up. There's too many people watching.
Yeah.
Let's get the lights up.
Yeah.
Let's get them up. I got a question for you guys.
Okay.
Because I've been going over in my head over and over. If you think the Knicks would have signed Carmelo for this playoff run, not even to play, more so as a leadership role in the locker room, I feel like it would have helped players like Julius Randle. What are your thoughts?
I mean, we needed him to play. We needed him to shoot. All that moral support. We don't need that. Julie's got a therapist on the bench. We needed people that could shoot. They were the New York Bricks in this series against the Miami Heat, man.
Probably could give us some buckets, man.
Yeah, he probably could have gave us some buckets out there.
I think he would have definitely helped as a leader, like just being a role model on that team, helping someone like Julius and everybody else understand the pressure of New York and what it is to play under those bright lights. But at the end of the day, Randall's got to be able to keep his, mental in check while he's on the court. And I mean, we're seeing it right now in the playoffs. Look, you can look at Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. I don't know. They got veterans. They got Al Horford all over the place. And they're not focused at all. You got Marcus Smart flopping in the second quarter, trying to draw a foul on Lowry for no reason.
A flop on flop crime, and he got called for it. On Lowry. Yeah,
I was so confused. I was like, which direction is this going to go?
Man, they are a mess. But now we needed a bucket getter, man.
Melo, to that question, I think if Melo would have signed with anybody, it should have been Memphis. He would have been a perfect mentor for John Morant.
That's fair. Yeah. I like that. I definitely like that.
I definitely don't think the Knicks needed Melo. I mean, he wouldn't have been good for the Knicks, but definitely for Memphis, he could have been a great locker room presence.
Yeah. What do you think about when people say he was blackballed last couple of years, man? What do you think about that?
I believe that. I believe it. I mean, the guy, he proved it. He could score. Like, you need scorers. His last season, he still shot, 37%? It's not like, I mean, if he came in the league and he shot 20-something%, then I get it. But he could still score. Mm-hmm. He still works hard. He goes in the locker room. He does what he has to do. He's a professional. You want guys like that on your team. So, I don't know what that was about.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it took 2 years out of his career, I think.
2 years.
Yeah. He definitely was blackballed, man. I mean, look, as Edgar said, on Portland, he shot 30. Hold on a second. That's playoffs. He shot for the Lakers 37.5%. Before that, that was from 3 on 6 attempts per game. He shot 40% on 5 attempts for Portland. Like in Portland, he was still a good contributor. I think he still had enough left in the tank. The thing that people, I guess, were afraid of and didn't like was that when he was in OKC and it was like him taking a lesser role, come off the bench, and he was like, me? And I think when you're a GM or any executive around the league, you're thinking, this guy's getting older. At that time, he was 33. He after watching what happened in New York, the whole mantra of he doesn't share the rock, all this type of thing. Maybe he would be best off the bench to give you some minutes and be that lethal scorer. I think when you were at that point, you're like, we don't see him making that change. And I think the league kept him out for that reason. And even after Houston, right? You just saw that whatever happened in Houston, I don't get. But I think after those type of comments and just thinking about that, I think he got blackballed for those reasons and a few more that we probably don't know about.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that, man. I think the one thing that got me, I was surprised that that LeBron didn't pick him up when they went to the bubble to win that championship. I thought instead of Jared Dudley, I thought they should have picked up Melo, man. He could have had a ring. And that's the only, top 75 is great and all the scoring accolades, but could have had a ring. I thought he should have went to the Lakers that year and gotten a ring, but that was not the case with Carmelo Anthony, man. 19 years in the league, hangs it up on today, May 22nd, 2023. Last call of the show. Let's go to 581-585-351. What's your name? Where are you calling in from?
Yeah, it's Nate from Rochester.
Nate, how you feeling, man?
Hey, I'm all right. It's bittersweet, man. Seeing Melo retire. I think, just looking back on like what he did, so for me personally, I didn't grow up with Ewing. I didn't grow up with any of those guys.
I was going to say that.
First, for me, Melo was the guy I had. He was my guy. He was the one leading our teams to the playoffs. Like everybody else, they couldn't do what he did until I guess Julius Randle showed up. But other than that, it was him. I just think looking back on those teams, is you look at guys like Jared Jeffries throwing away the ball at game 2 when Melo had 42. Amari had the back issues in that series too. You go to the next year, it's just all kinds of things go wrong with the team. And it's we just didn't give him what he deserved as a top 75 player, as a superstar in this league. He's not going to be mentioned with some of those guys, and it's not. And for me, it's not his fault. He's just as talented as some of those superstars is. It just sucks to look back at, man. For me, it's bittersweet. But for me, Melo is always going to be as a second jersey I got from a Knicks player. The first one was Amari, but those guys, man. I think back to that game against Miami. It was 4 games after the trade deadline, and it's we're competing. Amari gets the game-winning block. It's to me, I saw that could have been a championship team, if we played our cards right. So, but it's a salute to Melo, man. It's just a lot of things that we didn't do right by him. That's all I got. Phil Jackson, I will never forgive him. That's all I really got, man.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, the Phil thing was definitely weird, but as he said, for a lot of people like him, this was their guy. They weren't around for the Ewing era. They weren't here for Houston Spreewell kind of wrapping that era up. Some of them were even young when Marbury and those guys were trying to make something happen here, but couldn't. So for a lot of these people, Melo was their guy. The Melo era was kind of the start of something for the Knicks fandom, man. Even though those teams didn't have much success, they were able to make the playoffs 3 years in a row, and they got to the second round in that last one, but just couldn't catch anything sustainable, and that's how it goes out. So Nate says they did him dirty. It's Nate from Rochester. Salute to Nate. Salute to everybody in the chat, and salute to Melo, man. Great career. Lots of tributes going around in the NBA. Fred Katz sharing some cool ones. KD going to Instagram and sharing some funny ones. Offensive foul. Couple of Melo comments from the group chat. This is Adam Silver's comments. Says Carmelo Anthony is one of the NBA's all-time great players and ambassadors. We congratulate him on a remarkable career, 19-year career. Look forward to seeing him in the Hall of Fame, and no doubt a first ballot Hall of Famer. Wilson Chandler sending his regards. A lot of highlights going around on the internet, man. So, yeah, man. Salute to Melo and a outstanding career. Any final thoughts, Edgar? Final thoughts?
No, I mean, I appreciate, coming on, talking to you guys. And I just want to say, give you guys your flowers, man. You guys did an outstanding job this season, man. And just watching you guys grow, standing ovation, man. Like,
Appreciate it.
It's amazing. I can't wait for where you guys go next season, man. Sky's the limit.
Appreciate it.
I'm going to say it out loud. MSG, pick these guys up.
Hey, that was from a third party. If you guys are listening, that was from a third party, man. Oh, wait a minute, man. Before I wrap up the show, I haven't heard from my guy in a minute. And Edgar, you didn't. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the legend that is Cody Glock, but he is on the Discord. And we got to get him in. Rapid fire, but we got to get him in. Cody Glock, let's go.
Can y'all hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. Loud and clear. Let's go.
Shout out KnicksFanTV, man. Like, who would the Knicks franchise be without KnicksFanTV right now, man? Like, they give us a platform, man. You can't. I wouldn't happen any other way. God's look. Let me start off like this. Yo, shout out Manscaped.
Yeah.
I have 0 turnovers because of Manscaped. I take care of my ball profusely. Yo, Melo, man. 19 years, man. I remember when he came to the Knicks, the day he came to the Knicks, that Whack Diddy song, I'm coming home, Whack. But, man, I was fired up, man. I ain't really care who he had to move. I didn't care what our chemistry looked like. Just to have a star like Carmelo Anthony in the Garden at that time, it was beautiful, man. It was great for the NBA. Down to Melo with the nylon Denver Nuggets jersey when he first came through,
Yeah.
That's when NBA Live 04 was popping, and NBA Live was going crazy. And Melo with I seen it fresh, crispy. My cousin came home one day. He came to my crib. He had the nylon blue Melo jersey. It was a different type of feeling back then, man, when we talk basketball. And I never forgot that, man. Melo, one of my all-time favorite players, man. Yeah, he doesn't have a ring, man, but that guy, whoever vouches for Melo is great. Like Kobe vouches for Melo, Paul George vouches for Melo, LeBron, anybody who's guarded Melo before knows he's the real deal, man. And I just want to shout out to Melo, man. Like, one of my favorite players ever, bro. He really made me love the Knicks even more, man. Like, it's crazy, man. But other than that, I know you guys, it's all Melo praises. I ain't trying to throw off the rails here, but you guys didn't speak to me since we lost. Okay.
Yo, we got a doubleheader tonight, man. We got more time tonight, man. Doubleheader tonight, Knicks Weekly, man.
Oh yeah, doubleheader. So I'll call in tonight, man, and you guys is gonna hear me, man. I ain't gonna go off in a tangent right now, but I appreciate Melo for everything he's doing, man. Melo is definitely not no snitchy. KnicksFanTV, shout out Nicky Pipe, shout out CP Free Throw, shout out Edgar, shout out Alex, shout out JD. We out, man. You already know, man. Word is born, righteous gods, man.
No doubt. Cody Glock, he's out of here, man. But he said he'll be back tonight. Man. So
we know he's going to talk about.
Yes, we know what he's going to talk about, man. So shout out to Cody Glock. Edgar, let the people know where they can find you, man.
eBurg1, EBURGONE.
All right, man. We definitely appreciate you for tapping in. Al, I'll see you tonight. And for those of you in the chat, man, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Hit that share button. Subscribe to the channel. So to our channel members that are in today's show, watching live, man, Jamaica Queens 22, definitely appreciate it. Breeze Noriega in here. Muhammad Mustafa Wahad. Muhammad, salute, man. I hope you got all the merch that we've been sending you over the past few weeks. Father Peace, appreciate it. TM, of course. Junior Karoma, of course. All our franchise channel members, man, we appreciate your support. And we'll see you guys tonight, man. Part 2 of Knicks Weekly, man. Salute to Melo, great career. Retire number 7. Peace.